What's up, guys? Dylan Rush with Cage Side Press, joined today by a UFC lightweight boasting a 22-1 professional record, set to take on Joe Solecki in a three-round lightweight bout at UFC 302 on June 1st at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Grant KGD Dawson, how you doing, Grant?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, sir. Of course, man. Thanks for taking the time. I just stumbled on KGD. I wanted to ask you first things first. How did you get that nickname? What does that stand for?
It stands for King Grant Dawson. I'm real big on like he who has the gold rules, and the King nickname was already taken. I was hoping to be able to steal it from Bobby Green, but that didn't go so well. So he can keep the King name. I'll stick with KGD.
Maybe you'll get another chance to grab that one day. Speaking of that, you're coming off your first loss in your UFC career, actually your first defeat in the last 8 years. Did that loss alter your mindset at all going to this training camp, maybe even in a positive way?
No, not really. I've always been a big believer that there's going to be bumps along the road. Um, this is going to sound really weird, but I didn't get into this sport to beat Bobby Green. I got into this sport to be a world champion. And I know there's guys in the comments already typing out that if you can't beat Bobby Green, you can't be a world champion. Um, but we all know that that's bogus. We all know that that's horseshit. Islam Makhachev lost a fight to a guy that lost 7 fights in a row after knocking him unconscious. And now everybody thinks he's the second coming of Jesus Christ. So, or Allah, maybe, I guess. So I don't know if I know people are doubting me. I don't really give a shit. I'm gonna do what I got to do to get this win.
Definitely, man. You were undefeated through your first 9 fights in your UFC tenure. You're still only 30 years old. You continue to show improvements with each fight. What are some things you credit for your big successes so far in your career?
Do you know what I would be if I wasn't a successful professional fighter?
What would you be? That's one of my questions. If you weren't a successful fighter, what would you be doing?
I'd be a broke amateur fighter. The reason why I'm so good at this sport is because there's nothing in this world that I love more than this sport. I dedicate every bit of time, effort towards this sport. I'm 100% in on this game. I'm obsessed with this game. I'm not super talented. I'm not super athletic, but I'm very hardworking and I'm very, very obsessed with getting better at mixed martial arts. I think that's what makes me so good at fighting.
Wow. I believe it, man. So you're fighting Joe Solecki, three-round lightweight bout, UFC 302, June 1st. What do you know about this guy, Joe Solecki? What makes him a favorable stylistic matchup for yourself?
I think we have a very similar style. We're kind of like almost the same guy, kind of. I think that he's got a little bit better jujitsu off of his back, and I've got a little bit better wrestling. I think the fans that enjoy grappling are going to really enjoy this fight.
Yep. I saw we were talking on my Instagram post when I posted the graphic for this fight. Jared Gordon has fought Selecki. You fought Gordon. Like you guys have all fought each other. Are you and Jared Gordon? Have you guys kept in touch that you guys fought, or are you guys just good or friends or anything like that?
Yeah, me and Jared talk quite a bit, and we end up fighting each other, or not each other. We end up fighting other people that we've already fought. Like when he fought Leonardo Santos, I fought Leonardo. He reached out and asked, hey, what should I look out for? When I fought Bobby, I reached out and asked, and he said, hey, don't get hit with the straight cross, and I decided not to listen. And then he fought Mark Madsen. He reached out and was like, hey, what should I look out for? And then again, he fought Joe Solecki. I reached out, hey man, what should I look out for? He said, hey, don't let him take your back. And so this time I'm going to listen to Jared Gordon, and I'm going to do my best not to let Joe Solecki take my back.
I think that's so cool that you guys reach out to each other and like help each other in those ways. It makes sense. Would you say that's pretty common across the sport? Like even if you're not at the same gym, some fighters, regardless of weight, regardless, just reaching out and helping each other for.
Yeah, I think so. I think it especially happens after you fought the dude because you know that like, hey, I'm probably not going to fight this guy again,
Mhm.
unless you're like Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev. I'm sure they're not reaching out and talking to each other because there's a very good chance that they could fight for a third time. I don't think me and Jared Gordon are ever going to fight again unless we both go on some huge win streaks and we're both in line for the belt, which good for us. That's a great spot to be in, but I just don't see that really happening. Um, so yeah, I think as long as he's not fighting a teammate of mine or a former friend of mine, like I got no problem being like, yeah, I fought this dude. Watch out for this.
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. So this is your first fight of 2024. How many fights are you looking to have this year? What would the perfect year for Grant Dawson look like?
7 fights, but it'll probably be 2 because it's always 2. Man, the perfect year for me is winning this fight, getting to fight somebody in the top 15, and ending the year back into the top 15. I was ranked number 10 in the world, and in 33 seconds, it all got taken away from me. The rankings outside of the champion is kind of bullshit anyway, so I'm not super butthurt about it, and I do understand because I lost to a guy that wasn't ranked. However, I do think that getting back into the rankings is definitely going to be what I do this year, and then late next year I'm going to be looking for my title run. I wouldn't say I'm going to fight for the belt next year, but I think people are going to be saying I should fight for the belt in 2016. I'm sorry, in 2026, not in 2016.
Uh, that would be good. I think, who knows, man. Steven Erceg was ranked 10. He just got a title shot, so maybe even next year. So you're fighting on the same card as one of your teammates, the Diamond Dustin Poirier. He's fighting for a championship belt, of course, in the main event against Islam Makhachev. Does it help to have teammates fighting on the same card of you, sort of like that fight week camaraderie and, having the culture American top team around you on fight weeks?
Well, it's definitely nice to have somebody that's suffering with me on fight week. Somebody that's going to be, I know, like, hey, I'm hungry, but so is he. Hey,
Yep.
I'm nervous, but so is he. Hey, I'm ready for this to be over, but so is he. So misery enjoys company, and fight weeks are some of the most miserable times in fighting. Fighting's great, winning is amazing. Fight week sucks. So it's definitely going to be nice to have somebody that's going to be in there struggling with me, not just there with me helping me struggle, but actually struggling with me.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy because there's so many parts of fighting that fighters not like complain about, but are just like, this is the tough part. This part sucks. This part sucks. But there's like nothing that replaces that feeling of being in the cage, training week in, week out. But just like going, like people refer to it as like going into the unknown. What is it about going into the unknown and being in that cage that you just can't stop going back?
Well, I think it's kind of like a drug where I think that there's a few things that people are missing nowadays, and that's why depression and men's mental health and suicide rates are through the roof today. When we live in the most prosperable country, we live in the greatest country, and people just seem depressed. I think what it is there's not that challenge. There's not that sense of purpose. Like I am afraid when I fight. I'm downright scared. I downright don't want to do it. I don't want to walk in there. I don't want to get hit in the face. I don't want to lose in front of hundreds and thousands of people, but I do it anyway. So it gives me that sense of almost, being a man. Like I know I don't want to do this. I know this is going to be difficult, and I know this might not even go my way, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I think that's one of the reasons why, thankfully, I've haven't dealt with depression. I haven't dealt with anything like that. I'm happy, healthy, rich, and wealthy. So it's like I credit so much to this sport and so much to me having a purpose in my life.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, man. I mentioned Dustin Poirier fighting Islam Makhachev. I'm sure you're rocking with your boy, but what are your thoughts on that fight, that championship, another championship opportunity for the Diamond?
I mean, yeah, I think you'd be an idiot not to say that Dustin is the underdog. To say that Dustin's going into this fight with a lot of people thinking that he's going to lose, but that's how Dustin's last fight was. He went in as the underdog. Everybody thought he was going to lose. I said that Dustin was going to win that fight, and people made fun of me for it. Now they're saying, "Oh, the French dude isn't as good as we thought he was." So
Oh.
I really think that Islam Makhachev has got to be on his P's and Q's. I think that if he thinks he can strike with Dustin, he's going to get put to sleep. I think if he takes a bad shot against Dustin, he's going to get put to sleep. I think if he goes in there and doesn't have a perfect weight cut, he's going to be put to sleep. There's always something dangerous to fighting a guy that has everything to gain and absolutely nothing to lose. I fought Bobby Green in my last fight. He had nothing to lose and everything to gain. I had everything to lose and really nothing to gain. I took that fight. I don't regret taking the fight. He caught me clean. He was the better man that night, and he got rewarded for it, and good for him. I think that that's what's going to happen with Dustin too.
Have you ever regretted taking a fight?
No.
Never. Who's going to be in your corner for this one, June 1st at the Prudential Center?
The general Mike Brown, Thiago Alves, and my buddy Dakota Bush.
Nice. I wanted to ask you about Mike Brown and Thiago Alves. What have they meant to you? How have they influenced you throughout your mixed martial arts career?
Yeah, man, they're great coaches. I think Mike Brown is he's the Peyton Manning of coaches. You know, I think that everyone knows that he's the best MMA coach there is, and I think they're just kind of tired of talking about it because it's so obvious. When they talk about who the best MMA coach is, who the best MMA coach today is, whenever a name comes up that isn't Mike Brown, they mean other than Mike Brown, this is the best MMA coach right now. And I think that he's one of the best. And I'll tell you what, Thiago Alves is right there. I was lucky enough to get into ATT when Thiago Alves first started being like, hey, I want to be a coach, not a fighter. So not a lot of guys were like banging down his door for pad sessions and for coaching advice. So I was lucky enough to slip in there, and now I'm kind of one of his guys. So I get that special treatment. But yeah, I really think that once Mike Brown is you know towards cornering and coaching a little bit less, which if that ever happens, I think Pitbull will be the guy that everybody starts turning to.
So Mike Brown is Peyton Manning. What's Pitbull's NFL comparison?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really watch. I don't really watch football, but I'd put him along like, let's say, if we're going off of legends, let's say Mike Brown is Brett Favre and Thiago Alves is Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Oh, that
Like,
makes sense. Yeah.
obviously Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Brett Favre, but also he came up at a different time when football, we know more about football and stuff like that. But
Oh,
that's what I'm going to give.
I like it. I like it. All right. I got four. It was five, but we answered one of them. But four quick questions for you, speed round. You ready?
Yep.
Dream venue or city to fight at?
The MGM Grand.
In Las Vegas, Nevada. Would you rather never drink Dr. Pepper again or never watch Star Wars again?
Never watch Star Wars again. I've kind of given up on Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay. Which actor would play you in a movie?
Sam Worthington.
I don't know who that is, but I'm gonna post a
Yeah,
side.
yeah, you do. He's the Avatar guy. He's the guy that in
Oh,
Avatar
okay.
he's
Yeah,
Jake
yeah, yeah.
Sully.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like it. And I know you like Avatar. Last one. If you could change one thing about mixed martial arts or even the rule set or even the UFC, like the company, the promotion, what would it be?
5 judges.
Five judges. Yeah,
Five
why
judges.
not? Like, what's the argument against more judges? It just like lowers
There,
the
there's
outlier.
there's two things that people hate: the way things are and change.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I want to change one of my answers. What's the big venue in New York?
Madison
Uh,
Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. I'm going to change my answer to that. My dad has always dreamed about going to a boxing match in Madison Square Garden, and I've always wanted to uh, fight for the belt in Madison Square Garden and have my dad in my corner when I do that. So that's my answer. I'm going to change my answer. Sorry
Oh yeah.
about that.
Well, listen. Well, you're talking about it's always two fights. If this fight, they always do Madison Square Garden in November. It might not be the championship fight that time, but who knows, man? November might line up perfectly for you. I
Pretty
will
cool.
ask you this, even though you mentioned that you would be a shitty amateur fighter if you weren't a successful professional fighter. But if you weren't a fighter, what do you think your job would be? What would you have gone into if it wasn't fighting?
Coaching fighting.
Okay, so you'd be in fighting no matter what.
I'd
Uh,
be working at McDonald's and watching fighting on my phone.
when it's all said and done, all the way down the line, when you're finished fighting, training, coaching, whatever it may be, what do you want people to remember most about Grant Dawson above all else?
Man, that's a good question. I don't really know. I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my personal accomplishment. If I have to give you an answer, um, I want people to think that I'm tough. I
Okay.
want people to think that things were not easy, things were hard, there were bad situations, but man, that kid was tough. He stuck with it. So that's got to be my answer. But the real answer is I'm doing this for me. If the UFC, sorry, if MMA suddenly became like just nobody watched MMA, nobody cared about MMA, nobody cared who the UFC champion was, I would still want to become UFC champion. And after I became UFC champion, it would mean the same to me because I'm doing this for me, not for them.
It's a good answer, man. Random, not even a question, but I saw your favorite video game is Watch Dogs 1. I've never seen someone say that. For the Alex B. Hunan, the humanizing athletes, you say your favorite video game is Watch Dogs 1. I grew up loving that game. I never had a single friend that even knew what it was. So that was pretty cool. I want to
Bro,
say
Watch Dogs is great. The
I
other
never played 2 though. Is 2 good?
no, it's terrible.
Yeah, right? I heard it
Two
was
is
bad.
two is bad. There's a third one, I think, though.
Really?
Uh, there's a third one, and I've heard good things. But dude, Watch Dogs 1 is just so cool.
It
Like,
was dope.
yeah, what was the game we all played growing up? It's very similar to it. It's got like a million of them, where you're like a
GTA.
gang.
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto, yeah,
It's
yeah.
that, but it's cooler. That's what it
It's
is.
way cool. I
Exactly.
didn't like Grand Theft Auto. Like my brother loves Grand Theft Auto. I was not a fan.
Yeah.
And Watch Dogs is so much fun. Like great gameplay, great choose your own, like everything from the costumes, from the cars, the guns,
Yes.
the hacking. It's a great
It's,
game.
it's like a GTA for not for nerds, but like it was like smarter, like the hacking, the different stuff you could
Yeah,
do.
it was a more sophisticated GTA.
It wasn't some
You're
like
not
gang
a
banging bullshit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not a
Yeah.
gang banger. You're not, pushing drugs and shit. Yeah, really fun game and great storyline.
Yeah,
Amazing.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Shout out Watch Dogs 1, man. I want to play it again now. Uh, I have no more questions here. I just want to give you one last thing, one last chance to a message to the fans. What can fans expect to see when you step in the cage on June 1st?
Violence. You guys can see violence. We're two grapplers, but I think we're both coming out here to make a statement. He's coming off of a loss. I'm coming off a loss. I think we're both coming out here to show that we are the guys that we can do this. And I know that I am better than him. I know that I'm a better grappler. I know I'm a better striker. I think that all I have to do is show up on that day, and I'm going to walk away with this victory.
Oh yeah, man. I'm really looking forward to UFC 302. I'm very much looking forward to this fight, especially. I'm actually going to be part of the crew for UFC 302 embedded, so I'm sure I'll see you there. I'm looking forward to it. I'm like the lowest level employee. I'm getting people coffees, but I'll be there, man. So that's all that counts. I'll see you there. Good luck moving forward, man. It's a pleasure to follow along with your career, and I'm looking forward to doing another one of these soon.
Awesome. You'll probably be following around Dustin, and I'll be with Dustin a bunch, following
Yep.
him around. So
Yep.
if you see me, come say hi to me. All right.
I will. Will do, man. Be good. Appreciate it.
All right. Yep. Take care.